Welcome to the Nail Engineer, and today we've got a real good treat. We have got some new Madam Glam polishes, and actually this is going to be like 2 videos because I got 10 new colours. Yes! I didn't get any little wee like cutie things in it. So you'll know that my love for Madam Glam products is true because they don't send me shit. We have got some Cateye colours, these 2 here, to try out in this little lot. So let's just quickly run through the colours, and I'm going to swatch these over like on their own and also over black, just so that you can see the kind of different effects that you can get and play around at home with different colours. So we've got these 3 here. We've got a standard gel colour, Boat Trip, which is this gorgeous kind of really deep turquoise colour, and we've got Flying Purple, Magnetic Cateye, and Dresscode Blue, Magnetic Cateye. And then I've got these 2 Onesteps, Hadspen Blue, and Lady Blah Blah. So let's get swatching. So first up, I'm going to have a go of this Cateye, and I actually only have one other Cateye. It's a gel bottle Cateye, and I understand from that one that when you use it on your own, on its own, you need to first apply a layer and cure it, and then do your magnet on the second layer just for that opacity. But obviously when I'm swatching this over black, I'm going to be just doing 1 coat. Now straight off I can see that's a lush colour. It looks really nice, and it looks actually really super opaque on the first coat. Now it has come out quite thick, so it'd be interesting to see if this wrinkles. Well, will you just look at that? Not a single wrinkle. And I do notice, don't try this at home, but this is just for a pop. I do notice that the tacky layer on this magnetic Cateye isn't very tacky. I don't suppose it makes any difference anyway, because like, why would you be pressing glitter into a tacky layer? But just a bit of information for those of you who might need it. So here's a black pop that I made earlier. I'm going to try and get a thin layer, but it's quite difficult because it's very thick stuff actually. And I'll get daylight pictures of this as well, so you can compare and contrast the effect like on its own versus over black. And definitely I'm only going to need 2 coats of the pop on its own. This is actually 2 coats of black underneath. So I don't do cat eyes very often, but I understand that you need to get as close to that surface as possible without actually touching. So I'm just holding it over. Maybe I should do this on the side. Oh no. Wow, wow, look at that. So see, like over the black, what's happened is like all that kind of pigment has kind of migrated away. Geez, I didn't even get like super close. That's awesome. So I don't know if you can see there, but just as I've been chatting, the pigments seem to have like settled back. And I'm doing this on purpose, not just because I want to be like a chatty Cathy. And I wanted to see if that would happen. Like for example, if you're doing someone's nails and you don't quite get the line where you want it to be, then would it be possible to just kind of leave it and then go back to it? So that's exactly what I'm doing now. Just going back to it, popping that magnet over and seeing if it will regroup in a kind of uniform pattern. And yes it does. So yay, I'll get this cured. So second coat on the all purple. And if you stalk me on my Instagram, at the Nail Engineer, I would expect to see all sorts of wonderful experiments with this stuff over different base colours. And this time I'm going to pop the pop on its side, just so that you can see how close or not close I'm actually getting. I'm probably still about 3 millimeters away from the surface there. And I'm still getting a real good line. So after curing, this is what we've got on the Cateyes on Flying Purple. And the one on the left, this one here, is just 2 coats, and it is totally opaque as well by itself. And then this one here is over black. And I like both effects. I really like both effects. But I've got an idea brewing actually for the one on the right hand side, being that like it seems to shift all of the pigment towards the stripe. Now I'm wondering if you could almost like do like an ombre Cateye over the black, like maybe on one side do one colour, on the other side do another colour, or top and bottom, so it kind of like fades, the stripe fades from one colour to another. So I'm also going to do a pop of that in this video, and we'll see how it works out. Let's have a go of Dresscode Blue. Now straight away this looks to be slightly less opaque than Flying Purple, but still, oh my gosh, I could not believe how opaque that was, like on the first coat. Got a nice little bit of fluff there. It's a really nice warm blue. I was expecting it actually to be a bit more like a bit more of a royal blue, like a bit of a kind of cooler, like kind of more electric-y kind of royal blue, but it is a really nice kind of like mid sapphire color. So I'm just going to do the same again with this. I'll not bother showing you putting on like the second coat. So we'll catch up with those Cateyes at the end when we look at all of the pops together. Next I'm going to move on to the Onesteps, and if you've watched any of my other videos you'll know that I've got a few Onesteps, and generally they all share one thing in common, and that's that they're a little bit less opaque generally than your normal gel polishes. And of course they're Onesteps, so they require no base, no top coat. You can just get them on the nail. They all smell a bit like garlic as well. They smell a bit different to the other gels. I don't know why that's relevant, but hey. This one actually, Lady Blah Blah, looks pretty opaque on the first coat. I do know that the Onesteps are a little bit less hard wearing as the other gels as well. So even though you don't need to put base and top coat on, I generally do put like a top coat on, especially for a bit more shine. Initial impressions on this one are pretty good. It's definitely not opaque, but you wouldn't expect that from one coat. I generally find with the Onesteps that you need 3 coats, sometimes even 4 for full opacity. And back to Hadspen Blue, second coat, and again, like Lady Blah Blah, it seems to be quite a bit more opaque. I'm wondering if, you know, because Hadspen Blue and Lady Blah Blah, I don't believe were part of the first kind of the first run of all-in-one or one-step gels. And I know that a lot of people did kind of report that they were disappointed with opacity. So I'm wondering if maybe these like later additions to the colour collection, because that looks totally opaque to me. Maybe they changed the formula or something to increase the pigmentation and opacity. Who knows? Let's get it cured and see if it's good to go. And finally, let's go for a first coat on Boat Trip, which is just a regular gel polish. And I'm really liking this colour. I was a little worried that it might be a bit too close to either Evening Teal or Irresistible or Lagoon, but it's very different to those. I will do a comparative kind kind of photograph of the swatches. Now I'm looking on screen and that's coming off really, really blue. In person it's much more kind of like greeny turquoise. That's really strange. On screen it's looking like vintage blue looks in the flesh, but trust me, anyway, we'll get some daylight shots and you'll be able to see a truer kind of representation of the colour. But OMG, that is lush, and it's pretty much fully opaque on the first coat. Okay, so here are all of the finished pops, and unlike in other videos, actually all of these have been opaque on 2 coats. I think it's possibly like 2 things. First thing, I think Madam Glam have changed their formula on the Onesteps, and also I'm a little less scared to give it a slightly thicker coat. Hardly anything of theirs wrinkles. There's just a few odd colours that are a pain in the ass for it, like Perfect Black. Perfect Black is a bitch for wrinkling unless you use thin coats. White, always be careful with white. And Dusty Pastel Green is a pig. Back to Cali can be a bit contrary, as can Light Ruby. These are the finished pops, and first up I want to kind of look at this one here, Boat Trip. So Boat Trip here, I was worried was going to be kind of like similar to stuff that I've got already. This is Evening Teal, this is Irresistible, this is Vintage Blue, and this is Lagoon, and you can see it's like totally not. And now I think maybe you can see that it's a bit more kind of greeny than it was looking when it was on its own when compared to all of these. But it is yummy. And then similarly, Hadspen Blue, I was worried would be kind of similar to like Dusty Pastel Green. So there we go, we've got Dusty Pastel Green there and Irresistible there, and you can see that it's just a kind of subtler shade than Irresistible, and it's a bit kind of like slightly greener and slightly kind of grayer. And just to show you what these look like on the skin, against my skin tone, they're really, really nice. I could actually see these two making a nice kind of mani together. Finally, to round up the just regular gel colours, Lady Blah Blah. And again, this was like 2 coats. I think on me personally, I would need to use 3 coats of this and Hadspen Blue because of my visible nail line, but I think on most people you would get away with 2 coats. So on to the cat eyes, and considering that I've never really been that arsed about cat eyes, I'm really liking them, and I'm so glad that I've gotten some to have a little kind of play with. So we've got Dresscode Blue and Flying Purple there. I did Over Black, so here is the 2 of them together, Over Black and on its own, and then Flying Purple, Over Black. And definitely I do prefer the effect Over Black. I just think it looks a bit more kind of contrasty, if that's the word. So I did do a one with like a vertical ombre. You can see there it goes from blue to purple, and hopefully if I get some daylight pictures it'll be a bit clearer. But the great thing is, because the magnet kind of attracts most of the pigment towards the middle, you don't have like a really like harsh line between the two. It just looks like some kind of magic has occurred. So I think I might use this technique on a future mani. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed and found this useful. I'm very happy with my new Madam Glam colours. And now I can think what I'm going to put over this, which is like 3 weeks old and really scabby and minging, and sorry about that. So ends another swatch-a-thon. I hope that you enjoyed this and found it useful. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.
Let the dancing begin.